Welcome to the Plato Paradigm, a paradigm shift in reading Plato's dialogues. Episode 11, Hippias Minor 366d to 367a. Socrates doesn't seem to know how heuristics works. Instead of making Hippias the laughing stock, instead he has been praising him to the heavens, and we've found so far that in calculation, Hippias is the most able and the most expert. And now Socrates has added, because he is most capable and most expert, he is also Aristos, the best. The same link between ability and goodness is made today. I can say that I am able at swimming, or I am expert at swimming, or I am good at swimming. In fact, it's easier to say I'm good at swimming. I have the ability, and therefore I am good at swimming. Now, it's interesting that Socrates has introduced Aristos into the mix. We now have most able, most expert, and most good. You may recall that in the exhibition just now, Hippias had talked about 3 Homeric heroes, each of whom had one characteristic. The Aristos was Achilles, the Sophotetos was Nestor, and Odysseus wasn't the Dunatotetos, he wasn't the most able, he was the polytropotetos, the most much turned or much turning, depending on your interpretation. And it wasn't clear why this would be part of a set piece by Hippias. He used it in this exhibition, but he made it clear that he uses it in more than one exhibition. So the question we should be asking is why he gave those 3 heroes with those particular characteristics then, and why Socrates now has bothered to complete the trio of terms by adding Aristos here, and why is Hippias happy to be considered the most able, the most expert, and the best in calculation. As a working hypothesis, we could suggest that it is good for business. Hippias the sophist is more likely to gain students if he appears to be not only the most able and the most expert, but also the best. People are naturally attracted to the best at any subject because they feel that these people can teach that subject better than anybody else. But if that's the case, why isn't Hippias selling himself here in this conversation? The answer is that in this conversation, he is demonstrating the one activity which he hadn't exhibited in his exhibition. He's now engaged in heuristics, but in the exhibition, he did show that he was the most able, the most expert, and the best at various subjects. We've already seen that he's the best at very many different things. Even just before the heuristic conversation, Hippias was saying that he's never encountered anyone better than him at anything in the Olympic festivities. In what is supposed to be an heuristic conversation, it's Socrates who has caused us to reconsider Hippias being the most able, the most expert, and the best. This is wonderful for Hippias. He's getting free self-advertising through Socrates, who doesn't seem to know how to argue and make his opponent lose. Now we can reconstruct the set piece which Hippias uses in his exhibitions. If Hippias, is the best, the most able, and the most expert at every subject you can think of, then he's comparing himself to the best of the best in Homeric poetry, where there is only one character for each of the three characteristics, Achilles, Nestor, and Odysseus, while Hippias embodies all three characteristics, and he's obviously much better than they are. But there's one big difference. While Hippias is better than the Aristos Achilles and more expert than the Sophotetos Nestor, at the moment he is only Dunatotetos, most able, while Odysseus was polytropotetos, most polytropos. As we'll see, Hippias is only Dunatotetos at the moment because we've only talked about one field, calculation, while Odysseus in the exhibition and then Hippias in the exhibition would be most polytropos because we're dealing with many fields. The most able in many fields, so it appears, for Hippias is polytropos, and because Hippias is the most able in most fields, he is polytropotetos, most polytropos. So Dunatos refers to someone able in a field, and polytropos refers to someone able in many fields. And the most Dunatos refers to someone in one field, while the most polytropos refers to someone who is able in more fields than other people. Now we can see that when Socrates introduced Epaminondas, the father of Eutychus, into the conversation, it wasn't only to ensure that Hippias would support one particular position, the position of Epaminondas, but also to get rid of Nestor from the equation. Socrates is going to use the set piece of Hippias, whereby Achilles is Aristos and Odysseus is Polytropos, ignoring Nestor, who's the Sophotetos, and then play with those terms by suggesting that Achilles actually was the Polytropos rather than Odysseus. And the point of all this is not because Socrates is interested in Homer or Epaminondas, but because Hippias himself has identified himself as Aristos and Polytropotetos and Sophotetos. But that's beside the point here. It looks as though Socrates would like Hippias to consider the connection between ability and goodness. Why doesn't Socrates come straight out with it and ask Hippias directly what he thinks about the connection between these three terms, which Hippias clearly identifies with? The answer probably is that Hippias, being the sophist that he is, would not be willing to discuss that subject. At the moment, he thinks he's in an eristic debate. He's showing off his ability at heuristics, and that is what concerns him. Socrates has to find ways during the heuristic debate to cause Hippias to reconsider things. We'll see that Hippias never reconsiders anything, and this is because he is a dogma of a paradigma, just as Socrates is a dogma of a paradigma. They do their own thing, and they cannot change. For now, Socrates carries on praising Hippias. Tamen de alithe, suan dunatotata epois perituton egar, oimai egoge. And true things, you would speak with most ability about these things, right? I think so. Tide tapsude periton auton tuton, and the false about these very same things? Hippias doesn't answer. Socrates will carry on with his questioning. It looks like Hippias can already sense the trap that Socrates has laid down here. The whole argument is about whether the same person is the liar and the truth-teller, and Socrates has maneuvered Hippias into that very position. Hippias is the one most able to tell the truth and to lie, which is exactly the position that Hippias doesn't want to be in. And yet, if he argues against it, he's arguing against his own ability to be just that very person. Socrates now has to encourage Hippias to answer. Kai moi hosperta protera genaios kai megaloprepos apokrinai o Hippia. Answer me as you did before, nobly and generously. The adverbs could be interpreted as sarcasm, but it is also a reminder that this is what Hippias claimed to be able to do. Socrates carries on praising Hippias relentlessly. Eitis eroito ta tris heptakosia posse esti, potron su an malista pseudoio kai ae katatauta pseude legois perituton bulomenos pseudestai kai me depote ale the apokrinestai eho amethes es logismus dunait an su malon pseudestai bulomenu. If someone were to ask you what 3 times 700 was, would you be the most able to lie all the time and give the same false answers about this, willfully lying and never answering the truth? Or would someone ignorant in calculations be more able than you to lie willfully? E homen amethes polakis an bulomenos pseude legen talethe an epoi akon e tuchoi diatome edenai sudehosophos e per buloio pseudestai ae an katata auta pseudoio. Wouldn't the ignorant one trying to tell lies all the time mistakenly tell the truth unwillingly, just by lighting on the truth through not knowing, while you, the expert, if you wanted to lie, wouldn't you always be able to lie about the same things? Hippias answers, but he's not very happy about it, and he chooses to go with his reputation. Nai, houtos eche hosu leges. Yes, it's the way you say it is. Surely agreeing to this isn't going to help Hippias in the long run, but he has to maintain his reputation as the most able.